Sorry about that. There we had a little bit of a issue there with the stream. Codemasters always like to make it difficult. But just getting everybody ready for the race setups and everything, strategies right now, and then we should be good to go green. Looking like we're gonna have an interesting one. We have light work up on pole. Followed by Jacko there. And just a reminder to any of the drivers hanging out in the chat currently, I am keeping track of all of your spins as well. So we'll probably have some sort of prize at the end of the season, honestly, for whoever gets the most of these. Like throwing some jelly beans or something like that sent your way. Yeah, starting just here pretty soon. Lights are coming on currently, and it's lights out and off we go. Looking like Lightwork is maintaining his lead pretty well there over Buck. He's fighting in third, and the Jacko side by side. Got Jonathan Dunk looking up the inside and wondering what he's going to be able to do there. Got a few position changes. Optic has already made his way up in 8th place. Slayer has fallen down the order to 11th. Here you can see everybody's tires. Looks like most people went mediums. Front runner going to be the only one on softs. Started in P15, so he's already had a good run on the first lap here. We got 52 laps here. Might see some rain a little bit later in the race. Not entirely sure. Not looking like much right now. And we've got Dutchman in the back is going pretty slow there. Not sure what's going on with him. He might have had a spin or some contact there, as also there is a Haas. Going pretty slow. Like a spin. Slight work locks up coming into turn 1 with a lot of fuel on board. These cars are pretty heavy coming to these corners, but keeps it under control. He's the first to cross the line. He's got himself a 1-second gap to Buck, who is quickly closing that gap down. Jacko and Jonathan Dunk. Burden up in P5. So it's a nice showing from McLaren, up already in the top 5. It's just 50 laps remaining. So anything can happen here. Got 19 drivers tonight. Hoping to see everybody finish. Looks like Buck and Lightwork are going to be in for the long haul. Once DRS opens up, Buck is going to want to seize that his opportunity quickly. Same with Jonathan Dunk here, who is currently sitting in 4th. He's just 8/10 behind. Jacko is running in P3 at the moment. Burden is going to get passed by Optic there up the inside. You can see the predicted pit strategy for anyone running softs and the mediums there. As Optic is going to make it very hard for Burden to follow him closely there. But forward is creeping up onto the back of Burden, so looks like Red Bull are trying to work as a team here, but Burden is going to move onto the outside, fakes to the inside there on Optic, but isn't able to stick it out around the corner. It's a wise idea to back off. You got a long way to go. No sense breaking yourself out of the race this early. This Burden makes a nice move up the inside onto Optic there. And Ford is just a little bit farther behind. Watch that as Darksider picks up a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Optic back onto Burden here. Gonna make his way, but we see Buck with a spin there. He's gonna see him go down from fighting for the lead all the way down out of the top 10. As Burden also picks up a spin there. See a big shifting of the order there. Pressure gets to some of these guys a little bit, maybe. Fuse rogue down in 14th there, passing Burden. And he is just a little over a second behind Buck there, who's now running in P13. Lightwork is going to be pretty happy with this, as he's going to have himself a nice 3-second lead over Jacko there, with J-Dunk closing in rapidly on Jacko there, but Burden is looking to spoil this party for Jonathan here. Shortly, it's going ever so faster. The front runner on those soft tires, starting P15 already all the way up into P5. This Dutchman is going to pick up a track limits penalty there. Strong performance from front runner already. Forward is going to be just a little over a second behind front runner currently, but Optic is getting closer and closer to J-Dunk there, who is looking to make a move for P2 at the earliest opportunity. Imagine he doesn't like having that Red Bull breathing down his neck there, so it could get pretty interesting here in the next couple of laps, as Optic is massively closing the gain there, able to go so much faster than these guys through those corners. Very, very nice setup for him there, looks like. Let's see what he's able to do here. Anything? It's getting closer through these corners. Looking like he's going to want to make a move. Oh, has a little bit of snap of an oversteer there and loses a lot of momentum there coming out. So not able to get the drive down the straight that he's going to want. That was a nice save there on that spin. Able to react very quickly to hold on to that there. He might be thinking to move down the inside. He's just going to hang back currently. His light work is set at 132.5. The fastest lap there as he's increasing his lead to now 6 seconds. He's doubled it in the last 2 laps. As Optic is all over the back of Jonathan. Jonathan has a little bit of a moment there and goes wide and loses the position there to Jacko, but he sticks it on the outside. Impressive car control there from both of them to stay out of each other's ways. Buck is working his way up. He's just made a pass on Grumpy Old Catman. See what he's able to do with the recovery drive that he's got on his hands now. His Optic is still right there. Jonathan goes a wide on track, but is able to keep in the lead there. He might have got himself a warning there for track violations. See, this field is starting to spread out a little bit now, aside from these top 10, still staying fairly close to each other. Alpine is looking to have a double podium finish if they can hold on to these positions for the remainder of the race, which I know they would absolutely love to have there. I'm curious to see how everyone's tire wear is going to fare with the hards versus the mediums. You know, the hards are going to go a bit longer, but maybe the mediums will have enough pace as Dutchman makes his way past Baba Yaga down in 17th and 18th, respectively. Darksider is bringing up the rear down by 18 seconds on Baba Yaga. On hard tires, he had to have an early pit stop, not what he would have liked to see there, and we've got a Haas in the pits, and that's going to be not Gravity. See what kind of tires he's going to be putting on. He might have had some wing damage, I believe it looks like, but Optic is staying very close here with Jonathan. See if he's going to make a dive down the inside. It looks like he's eyeing him up for it, and he thinks about it, thinks he's got it, and he does have it as J-Dunk goes wide, but still stays ahead. Not sure Jonathan's going to be able to keep doing that much longer before he starts getting a penalty. Optic is looking just to hold out some consistency here and hope that it'll win out in the end. These Red Bulls are both seeming to show some good pace. His forward is sitting down in 6th place currently still, but staying right on the back of front runner who's on the 5-lap-old soft tires. His Optic is thinking about the inside here. It turns into the outside switchback here. Gonna give him a nice run through. And they are just side by side. Wow, the respect these guys are showing each other, keeping it nice and clean. Some really good racing. Imagine Optic's tires are going to be overheating a little bit from following so closely though. So see if he's going to start suffering from that as Jonathan goes on the outside again. They bang wheels, but they both stay on. As Jonathan Dunk is able to stick it on the outside there, he has found a groove that is making it work for him. So Optic is still unable to do anything about these corners here. Jonathan is placing his car perfectly. As it looks like Optic is going to be making as an attempt here. Then move up the inside one more time. Hopefully he's able to make it stick this time. As it might have been... Jonathan is just ever so persistent. Optic might have pushed Jonathan wide there. Not entirely sure. It's a hard corner to kind of make a move happen in. Looks like Jonathan is going to be harvesting his ERS. He is on 6% compared to Optic's 50%. Is he able to do it? It looks like Jonathan is having to go wide yet again. Lightworks setting another fastest lap for the Williams team up there. He's got himself an 8-second lead, a very commanding start to this race here. Is Optic able to make a move now? Not even having to burn any ERS there. Just breezes right around Jonathan, but that was a very solid defense Jonathan put up there for a good while as Buck has now moved himself back ahead of Grumpy Old Catman. Burden has got himself a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Looks like Buck has come into the pits as well. Not a whole lot happening. Ginnett is on the back of Slayraz here. Slayraz operating the other Williams. Makes a pass nice and quickly there. Is able to hold on to it. Gets a little loose there though. As we see Vil getting his first spin of the night. Allowing Slayraz and Ginnett to move past him as forward is now on the back of J-Dunk, who has fallen down into P5. He was previously fighting with Optic, who is now right on the back of Jacko here, looking to get himself up, fighting for the lead hopefully. With the pace he's got tonight, he can make it happen as he breezes past Jacko there, the other Alpine. They claim P2 at the moment. You see a couple close battles here. We got forward on the back of Jonathan. Not able to make anything happen there. See what he's able to do. Jonathan might be struggling with a little bit with tires already, and not sure if he's just fell out of a rhythm. His tires overheated, or not sure if he's just doesn't have a whole lot of ERS to work with either. tries to stay on the back of Ginnett to win it, operating the Mercedes. So McLaren, both of the McLarens running P16 and 17 buckwheating burden there. Like they're both on some fresh hard tires, so they're going to be looking to have a later stint, maybe pit for softs late in the race. Ginnett is just able to watch this battle between Forward and Jonathan up ahead. Forward is staying within DRS, might be able to make something happen down on this straight here. He's going to have the ERS advantage as well as DRS. He's going to be able to at least close that gap in some more. As you can see, the flashing light there from Jonathan means he is running those very low on ERS. Not able to make a move happen, but is able to close down that gap nicely. Let's see what he's got coming into this corner. Slayer makes a move on Perfect Pond. They're battling wheel for wheel. Optic is now set the fastest lap time with a 132.3 and is closing down that gap a little bit on light work, but not a substantial amount of this phase. As we are going to see Burden having a spin there, going in to the first little bit of corners there. Forward is still on the back of J-Dunk. Looks like he just wants to make something happen, but just doesn't have the pace to quite get ahead, as Burden has DNF'd now. Not sure what happened there. It's unfortunate there for him. It's 2 in a row that he's DNF'd in. McLaren has got a one-horse battle now as they're running in 15th. And like Bucks probably is going to have the pace later on in this race to move himself up the field a bit. This Forward is ever so consistent, staying with J-Dunk here. This Forward is on the hard tires, so Jonathan is going to be struggling eventually here with tire drag as he goes wide yet again. As they're going side by side into this final corner. As you can see there from Ginnett's perspective, he's able to close up nicely with them fighting away there. It's still side by side. This is some really great racing between these guys up at the top here. Love watching racing like this. A lot of respect shown between all these drivers. Forward is just able to edge out just a little bit there and gain that position on Jonathan there. That was some very impressive driving. Let's see if he's able to increase the gap, or if Jonathan's going to be able to get that position back from him on this next overtaking zone here. As Ginnett though is right there on the back of Jonathan now as well. 2 has become 3, and they have left Slayer Eyes a bit behind. But I imagine there's going to be an opportunity here. Ginnett Twin has got a 3-second penalty for track violations. Not sure how Jonathan still hasn't amassed a penalty yet. He might be losing time going through there. You're able to stop yourself from getting a penalty. But Ginnett is making his move now, and he's got himself alongside and ahead. Jonathan there. Now he's setting his sights on Forward. Both of them running the hard tires are going to be in for a bit of a longer battle. Slayer Ice has now picked up himself a penalty of 3 seconds for track violations as well. So far this has been some pretty nice racing from all these guys here. Lightwork able to maintain his lead on lap 1 and has only ever extended his lead. Until Optic has been able to bring it down from a little over 9 seconds to just around 8.7 where it's been for the past few laps. So not able to put a huge dent into his time there, but I imagine he's going to be trying his hardest to get himself up fighting for that win tonight. Let's get it to win. He's a little bit late on the brakes there, and it works out for him as he closes in on right up to the back of Forward now. Jonathan is just 6/10 behind him, so not too far out of all this. See what kind of traction they're going to have coming through this corner here. This is a tough one as your tires get a little bit more deg. It's harder to maintain control. Gannon able to hold on to that nicely though. A little bit better than Forward did, and was able to close down a lot here. Put himself into a nice position with a lot of momentum coming through. And is able to just slingshot himself right up alongside Forward now. And ahead of him. That was a beautiful, beautiful overtake from Gannon there. Very textbook, making it look super easy. And these guys are all extremely talented drivers. Optic has now set the fastest lap time yet again with a 1:31.9. Not able to close the gap down too much though up front. So he's starting to make some good improvements on it now though. Flag in Sector 3. It looks like we're going to have an Alpha Tauri there on the track, and it is Baba Yaga. He's able to get himself into Q2 for the first time tonight, but he's having a little bit of a struggle it seems. But you don't have to necessarily be the fastest guy around track to finish in the top 10 here tonight. All you really have to do is just keep your lap times consistent, keep your car on track as much as possible. And at some point, somebody's bound to crash. This few Grove is going to pick himself up a penalty there for track violations as he's closing in. Looks like on Perfect Pond just ahead of him. He was on hard tires compared to Fuse's mediums, so Fuse is going to have the speed advantage here as their tires are getting a little bit farther into their lifespan. I imagine he's going to start losing that his advantage, so he's going to want to make that move as quickly as possible. He's closed up nicely here, able to keep it under a second, so he's going to get the advantage of DRS when that becomes available to him. Expect him to moving up the field a little bit more. Hopefully they're going to want to have a hold over Red Bull in the Constructors' Championship. They're going to need to outpace them tonight, but as it's looking, Red Bull is set to claim P2 once again. Whitework is going to also, if he holds on to this win, going to be setting himself up nicely for the coming into the last half of this season here. This Bill is also looking quite tense and Forward up ahead. Forward was running in the top 5 at the early stages of this race. Innocent seeing himself fall back a little bit. Maybe I've been struggling with a little overheating of his tires, not sure entirely, but it slows down just a little bit there, not able to keep on the throttle coming through those corners, I'm sure, as much as he'd like to. He's stayed within just about outside half a second of Perfect Pond there, as Guinness Twin has made a move as front runner. He's coming to the pits. That's going to promote all of the guys there a little bit. He's on 14 old softs, so I imagine those tires are kind of losing their edge there. I'm curious to see if he's going to go with the hard tires. Might try to push those through to the end. Not entirely sure if he'll want to pit for some fresh rubber towards the end. This Bill is just barely within a second of Forward up ahead of him. Not able to close down the gap too much. This Optic is now 14 seconds behind Lightwork. So not sure if he might have had a spin there, I'm not sure, but that has put Jacko into contention. to retake P2, which I'm sure he would really enjoy, especially now that Optic's tires are a little bit off, as Lightwork picks up a penalty for speeding in the pit lane as he goes into the pits on his 14-lap old mediums. This is definitely not what he wants from tonight. Darksider also in the pits now as well. And in pitting, Optic is set to take the lead here. Jacko is promoted to P2 as well. Lightwork has fitted the hard tires, and it looks like he's going to be coming out right in P4, so he doesn't lose too much track position there with his pit. As he has fallen down to P8, having had to serve his penalty, I would imagine there. So he's going to have a bit of work to do. I just lost those due to cold tires. Forward is closing in on Slayer Eyes up ahead. Ever so slightly. As Optic has been able to increase his lead over Jacko to 1.5 seconds now. Notice he can't quite make a move yet. It's way too far back to make any sort of dive bomb there and have that outcome work out for him. So Gravity is just outside of a second behind Lava Yaga, down in the 16th place. Mr. Gabri is also pretty close to front runner there, just 7/10 in between them. Front runner having just pit for some fresh tires not long ago. Forward is getting a lot closer this time around. Not able to get on the power though, as Slayer Eyes just stretches out away from him again. Slayer Eyes has now got himself a penalty for track violations. Gravity gets past Baba Yaga now. So we've got a little bit of a DRS train going on here with some of these guys, as Lightwork is just a little bit outside of there, not able to gain the advantage from the DRS, but he is still closing in rapidly on them. As Forward is right there, wanting to make something happen. Yaga has now got himself a penalty for track violations. So far we've only seen a few drivers pit, a couple on different strategies. Some had damage and needed to come into the pits there, as we've got Phil having himself a little bit of a spin there. Gonna tally one up. I was gonna see him drop down to P10. Perfect Bond is just a little bit outside of the window where he wants to be. From Lightwork, who is still outside of DRS, Buck has now got himself a penalty for track violations. He's still down in P14. He's gonna need to make some moves soon here and get himself closer to the field as everyone comes into the pits. He would be able to stay out a lot longer than most and maybe hit some softs towards the end. Forward is closing in again on Slayer Eyes, who does have a 3-second penalty to his name. So looks like we got almost half the field now. It's got a penalty as Forward is able to make the move on Slayer Eyes there and gets ahead and stays ahead coming into that corner. Very nice move from him there. Not a whole lot of fighting there, but Lightwork is able to close in massively now and is right all over the back of Slayer Eyes. See what penalties everybody's running currently. So Lightwork is able to slide up the inside of Slayer Eyes there. Lightwork with 5 seconds, Slayer Eyes with 6 seconds for the penalties. Getting it up in P3 currently, it has 3 seconds of penalties. Fuse, Grumpy Old Catman, Buck, and Baba Yaga all have 3 seconds. Dutchman's got 6, and then Darksider down in 18 is going to have 11 seconds worth of penalties. Just unfortunate for him. Let's see, everyone's on the medium, started on the mediums. All the hard runners, some of those guys started on them. Most of them actually, it's looking like. Let's see what kind of pace the tires are going to have here in the later stages. Let's see what kind of strategies those who have pitted for hards are going to have to adjust for. It's Lightwork all over the back of Forward now. It's closing in very, very rapidly. Gets alongside of him and ahead. Very easy overtake. Same move Forward and just previously pulled on Slayer Eyes. Same part of the track there. Just kind of swapping positions. He sat back, watched, and said, I'll have a go at that. This looks like Lightwork is well on the way to getting himself back up to where he needs to be. He's got 4-second gap on Jonathan now, who's sitting up in 4th. Jonathan hasn't been able to close down much on Ginnett, sitting in 3rd position. He's down by just 1.4 seconds on Majako. Now Optics has been able to stretch his lead to 3.8 seconds, hanging out nice and steady for Red Bull there in the lead. Looking very nice for them this evening. Lightwork was previously ahead before the pit stop phase, had a little bit of trouble after the pits, and has since been working his way back and is closing down the gap still. So he is definitely on a mission to get himself back to where he wants to be. As Forward is just outside of a second now, and looks like he's not able to do much, burning a little bit of ERS, trying to close that gap, keep himself inside the pit window, or DRS window, sorry. Coming up here, and I'm not sure he was able to do it. Doesn't appear so. The wing is not open. Slayer Eyes just falling back a bit there, but Perfect Pawn is making a pass on him at the moment. Seeing a lot of position changes coming into this corner here. Needs to be the prime spot for overtaking. As Slayer Eyes is going to dive into the pits now. He is on 19 lap old mediums, so see what he's going to put on. This Fuse Rogue is sitting in 8th currently. 20 lap old mediums there, going to push on a bit longer. Darksider with another set of penalty, 3-second penalty. Catman 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That is unfortunate. So we see Slayer Eyes and Catman are the only two in the pits at the moment. Jonathan Dunk is down in 7th place. This spin there. Missed. His Ginnett, though, is right on the back of the Jacko. Looking like he's wanting to take P2 for himself there. There's 2 tenths behind him, but he does have a penalty to his name. And Lightwork has done incredibly to get himself back into pretty close to fighting for a podium at least. As Ginnett now has made a move on Jacko. Slayer Eyes and Catman both pit for soft tires. As Ginnett is now working on stretching out himself in P2. Gonna want to get a gap over Jacko there. He's got 3-second penalty he needs to get rid of, and Lightwork with his 5-second penalty is gonna have some work to do tonight, I believe. But think he's got himself in a strong position to see it sit up on top of the podium, and those guys in the front, they still have to pit as well. So maybe Lightwork, once they all pit and he's got some clear air, he'll be able to set out some solid lap times and get himself a nice gap built up. Not a whole lot going on down on the rest of the track. Jonathan looks like is pretty close to perfect pond though. See if he's able to get a pass down here. Looking like he's not able to. There, but he closes up massively through this next part. Not able to make anything happen down the straight there. Might be have to look into this next part of the cornice here and see if he's able to carry more speed through. It's a very twisted part. It's hard to get a car with a good setup to kind of handle that, as well as maintain speed down the straights. Jacko's just still 6/10 behind Guinness to win it. They're currently fighting over second place. Not able to stay super close to him, but I imagine he's going to want to save his ERS a little bit, see if he can get Guinness to express some more of his. They're both pretty level pegging in that regard. On 22 lap old hards. Just going to get the DRS there. Fire off a little bit of ERS. Just keeping himself within a second there. Maybe hoping he'll make a mistake. His optic is just a little, just right around 3 seconds ahead of Guinness. He's actually closed that gap down a good bit. Right on board here. See how his tires seem to be holding up through these corners. Looks like he's coming up on some elapsed traffic as well. Looks like he is doing a little bit of tire saving here. Doesn't want to have to pit prematurely, as we see the Gabri come into the pits for some softs as well. This Jacko is just fallen outside of a second now of Guinness, who is still staying about 3 seconds behind, as Optic is going to make his dive into the pits now, and that is going to promote Guinness to being your race leader for the moment. Guinness and Jacko both on the hard tire. They're going to be able to set some bit more laps behind them before they'll have to come into the pits. Optic is gone for the soft zone, and it's going to give him, he's going to have a lot of pace, I feel like. Even on the mediums, he was able to close up very rapidly. As you see, Fuse Rogue now come into the pits. As Jonathan is still on the back of Perfect Pond there. Lightwork is now just 9 seconds able to close down that gap from 11 just a few laps ago. So he's doing well there to give himself a bit of a buffer when they'll have to pit. See Optic here on his fresh tires. Looks like he's got them warming up nicely. He's just now making his way out of the pit. Seemed like he was held up there for a little bit. See what kind of pace Optic is able to set on these softs. Most drivers pit around lap 18 that started on the soft. There's only a couple of them. Darksider's got himself a 3-second penalty there. Once again, he's not been having the best race this evening. Lightwork is just 9 seconds behind now off of Jacko. who is falling 2 seconds behind Ginnett. Ginnett able to stretch out nicely. Jonathan is just fallen outside of DRS of Perfect Pond ahead of him. His Optic has been able to close down that gap 2 seconds rather rapidly. It's Jonathan now back under a second here. See what he's able to do. Gabriel's on a fresh set of softs. He's just 13 seconds off of Catman. See what he's able to do. Catman makes a move on Dutchman. See if Dutchman's able to fight this one back at all. Doesn't appear he's able to yet. Maybe down this straight if he's able to get that DRS toe. As he's going to have a spin himself there. It's not what you want to see coming out there. That's going to allow Gabriel to capitalize on that and make a pass. Pretty easy pass there. As Buck has now closed himself into front runner. Front runner on 10 lap old hards compared to Buck's 17 laps. Buck was running second at the start of this race and then had a spin and fell down the order rapidly. And stumbled to get himself back up to P10 after having to pit early on as well for some hard tires. Optic sets the fastest lap of the race at the 129.8. Mill has got himself a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Come in after 25 laps on those mediums. I imagine those tires are not going to be the best to kind of deal with as we've got. Looks like Darksider has spun once again coming off the track there. So Optic is just within a second of Jonathan up ahead. So Bill comes out in P13 currently, just 1.7 seconds off of Catman. He's on 5 lap old softs, so he's going to have a lot of pace advantage, especially while Bill has to warm his tires up. It's kind of hard to do on them hard compounds, especially. It's hard to get those fired off rapidly. So Optic gets right up on the gearbox of Jonathan here. Very, very close. It looks like he might want to make a dive down the inside. He's going to dive in the inside. It's like a wheel to wheel and then get a little bit of contact there. But Optic is through. Not the cleanest moves as we saw him displaying earlier today, but Optic has got himself a 3-second penalty now against his name. However, Jonathan is going to have to pit at some point for some fresh rubber. You see up ahead, Perfect Pond is still not able to close up on forward hardly at all, but Optic is right in his DRS toe. He's able to capitalize on this slipstream, maybe not burning any ERS off. He wants to save that when he's got to push ahead. We are just at the halfway point now for our 52 laps, so I'm on 27 currently. So far we've only had one retirement, which is very nice to see. The Optic is now just half a second behind, closing in ever so rapidly. Looking like he's going to want to make a move here as he's going to open his DRS, burn off some of that ERS as well. And I imagine he's going to make this pass rather quickly. Yes, he is. As you can see, Perfect Pond just tuck in behind him there. Done and dusted for there. Not really much you can do. 26 lap old hards against 3 lap old softs. Kinda expected. But we'll see what Perfect Pond's able to do once he pits. Maybe see himself try to fight for a podium here in the later stages. See, Ginnett has now got himself a 4.6 second lead here. We've seen the lead of this race change 3 times already. First with Lightwork, and then to Optic, and now to Ginnett. I imagine Jacko is going to want to take that win here today as he's currently leading this championship. He does have a 20-point lead. However, you can never have too many points. Object is just within a second now of forward his teammate up ahead. Not sure if they're gonna do a little swap around for positions or what, not sure. These guys are gonna party together or what. It looks like Ford is not having the speed. Oh, as Optic gets a little loose there. Almost loses it, but does well to regain the control there. Looks like he's warming the tires a little bit. It seems like his setup doesn't have the best top speed in the corners. He loses a lot of stability. Wanted, you could maybe adjust his front wing angle a little bit, get himself a little bit more downforce there, but I'm not sure how much that would help him in the end. So he's all over the back of Ford, and it looks as though Ford may not just let him pass. Looks like they may just fight this one out a little bit. Like Optic is trying to signal forward. He may not be in a party together. Looks like he's trying to get his attention for a pass. So they go side by side almost. Optic having to give way as he comes up the inside of Forward now and gets ahead of him. Quickly slams that door shut on him. It should be worth noting. Again, it's now got himself 5 seconds over Jacko now. These guys looking like they're not wanting to be the first to pit. Jonathan is still out there on 28 lap over mediums. Darksider's got himself a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Light work done well to see himself up in P3 at the moment. He's got Optic just now 9 seconds behind him, but Optic definitely going to need to pit once again. There's some tires before the end of this race, I believe. I don't think he could stretch those soft 28 laps. It may be a bit much from him. In this phase in the race, everyone's kind of just settling in, managing tires as best they can. Nobody wanting to really push too hard. At this point, your tires aren't going to have enough grip to really be always on them, expecting them to hold up. But not sure when some of these guys are going to pit. I imagine Jonathan is going to want to come in here soon, though. He would have a pretty decent gap. Hits now before Thieves Road gets too much closer. So a little bit of a lock up there. Keeps control of it though. Are starting to see a little bit of cloud cover moving in though over the circuit, so that may be that rain that we thought we were going to have earlier on in the race. It's just got 21 laps now to go for these guys, so if there's rain coming, it definitely still has time to get here, which would add a very dramatic ending to this race, and I am all for it. Let me know in the chat who you guys think is going to win currently, as some of our predictions have fallen down the order a little bit, gone out of place. Still have yet for everyone to make their first round of pit stops though, so anything is possible. Slayer Eyes comes into the pit after 10 laps on those softs. So he's gonna pit for intermediates, so looks like the rain is already starting to fall on the circuit. Might be a little bit early, I think, though, for some intermediate tires. Not sure if he thinks it's gonna get worse over the next couple laps. Enough for those tires to work, but see Lightworks sliding a little bit now. Front runner has got himself a 3-second penalty. He's currently down in 9th position on 16 lap holds. And rain is starting to fall on screen, so the track will be getting slippier now. See, Perfect Pond comes into the pits. See what kind of tires he's going to go for. He may also go for intermediates, I'm not sure. This Buck sees himself up into 7th position now, so able to make a good improvement there, move up with 3 or 4 spots. And everyone pitting. Sometimes all you have to do is be consistent, and people will pit. Who knows? You never know what's going to happen. Lightwork has now got himself just outside of his 2nd off of Jacko. Optic is hanging out 7.9 seconds. I imagine his soft tires are starting to wear down a bit more now. Lightwork is going to make the pass on Jacko very easy with the help of DRS there. Let's see. Gravity went into the pits there on his 25 lap of medium, so he has now 3 sets of intermediates out there. Perfect Pond, Slayer Eyes, and Baba Yaga now on them. See if Slayer Eyes pit too early for his or what. Still not sure if the track was really ready for those, but we'll know here shortly. If anyone starts sliding around a bit much, then that was definitely time for everyone to run into the pits, which I imagine is why Ginnett, Forward, and Jacko have all yet to pit. They want to wait until the track gets a little bit slipperier. Jonathan is in on the set of intermediates now as well, though. He's going to promote Buck to P6 as it stands. Gravity with 3-second penalty as he's down in 16th at the moment. Looks like most everyone's getting penalties at this point, so you see a lot of high numbers down in the bottom there. Ginnett on 6 seconds, Lightwork on 5, Buck making a move there on a lapped car. That would be Baba Yaga there. Jacko's now fallen to 1.9 seconds behind Lightwork. He must be struggling there on those tires. As Gabri is going to make a move on Fuse down in for 12th position. Jonathan here on set of intermediates. Not really able to close down the gap. Perfect Pond ahead of him. He does go wide there. Might be struggling a little bit with this new setup. Darksider has picked up another penalty. Gonna see Baba Yaga off in the grass here. Looks like he had a spin. Darksider is going to come into the pits. His tires are only 3 laps old, so it's a little disheartening for him to pit and then have to pit again a couple laps later. Really slows down your progression there. As you see Ginnett coming up on the back of, I would imagine that's Dutchman there ahead of them to lap. Gabri's got himself a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings yet again. So now we've just got Jonathan, Perfect Pond, and Jacko, the only 3 drivers without penalties here. As you see, both Aston Martins right up next to each other. Starksider came out of the pits just ahead of Dutchman and is holding him up a little bit. Imagine is not what they don't want to see is there he's going to get out of the way. But that's going to allow Guinnett to move down the inside there as well. And has worked his way past. Lightwork is now all in a good bit. Forward is coming to the pits. Lightwork's down 7 seconds off of Guinnett. Imagine the rain and hards do not mix too well. Gravity's got another 3-second penalty. Currently down in 16th position. He had a strong start to the race, but has since fallen back down to near his qualifying position. These rogues able to get ahead of Gabri, who's now hit. He's running 11 lap old softs. Babiaga gets 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Vale also in the pits fitting some intermediates. Seems to be like everyone's starting to come in now. Lightwork, Jacko, and Optic all in the pits at the same time. So it'll be interesting to see who's gonna come out ahead here and get their tires fired up sooner. Looks like Lightwork was serving his penalty there maybe and comes out just ahead of the Jacko. Looks like we're going to be in for an interesting little bit here. His Optic right behind them there is going to want to capitalize on anything he can. On cold tires out of the pits. This makes it hard to overtake right away, but you also have to keep in mind that you don't slide around too much. Spin there would definitely ruin any of these guys' hope of winning at this point, I believe. So Guinnett still sticking it out there in the lead. Got himself a 33-second gap that is starting to come down, so he should probably look at pitting now if he wants to regain or hold on to that lead. See if he's coming into the pits. Looks like he is pitting now. So see if these guys are able to get around before he's out of the pits or not. Aston Martin going slow on stretch there. Lightwork able to hold the lead. Dutchman has got himself another 3-second penalty. Lightwork holding the lead over Jacko currently though. 3/10, and Optic right behind him there. As we see them coming down in the final bit, just as Guinnett is coming out of the pits now. Oh, and we have Jacko into the back of Lightwork. Both keep going on track, but that is gonna drop Jacko down. He might also have some front wing damage. It's not what anybody wants to see there, but Guinnett is still able to hold out a 8-second lead now. But that is still coming down rapidly as Lightwork and Optic are going wheel to wheel here. No room for errors. They're right next to each other. That is some very hard racing right there. Optic currently ahead coming in. Is he able to hold on to it? Lightwork is creeping up right alongside of him now. These guys are going side by side. Still side by side, the era just giving it everything they have coming in here. Some very impressive driving from these three. They've all been very consistent throughout this whole season and even throughout this whole race. Not really up until Jacko sliding into the back of Lightwork, I think, was the most contact we've had. And that is not a good sign for Lightwork there as he gets sent wide. It is unfortunate from him there as Optic gives him a little bit of a tap there. And he's going to drop down to almost 4 seconds behind Jacko. Buck has had a spin there on his set of intermediates. This track is a little bit treacherous at this point, I think. Everyone's trying to have a clear line here. Lightwork picks up a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. It's 14 laps remaining now, as Optic is just 7.8 seconds off of Guinnett, who inherited the lead after a couple of the front runners made their pit stops. He stretched on and gave himself a nice big lead, even in the when it was starting to come down with the rain. He still stuck it out a little bit longer than everyone else did on those hards. Went for the overcut strategy, and it worked out well for him. As he is in the wall, as I say that. Commentator's curse once again. But that has handed the lead back to Optic now, over Majako. And Guinnett is still hanging out in third with Lightwork all over the back of Guinnett now. Looking like he might be able to snag that final podium position. I'm not sure if Lightwork has any damage there. Can't really tell. Doesn't look like he's got any front wing damage. Imagine the body didn't take any damage either, which would be very nice for him. This El Majako, though, is just a little bit behind Optic. There's not going to be DRS with the rain, but there's a little bit of traffic up ahead, so he might be able to make something happen. That lap traffic looked like it was DeGabry, had a spin there. It was Dutchman able to get ahead of him there. Ford making a move on some lap traffic. This Lightwork is still right on the back of Guinnett to win it. Optic has now got himself a 3-second time penalty as he has gone wide there, and that has handed the lead back to Majako. So once again, the lead of this race changing. At this point, I don't even think I want to try to guess who's going to win. Probably just be proved wrong with 12 laps left to go, and everything's going to come down to this now. As Lightwork has got himself a 7.4 second lead over Optic in P4. So Lightwork looking like he can hold on to this podium, might even be able to grab P2 here, is just 8 tenths behind. As Optic looks like has been into the wall, lost his front wing, so that is not what he's going to want to see. That's going to be pretty much rough end of the race for him. Not sure he's going to be able to do too much there. With that, as Optic is going to have to go all the way around the track before he's able to pit, unfortunately. This forward is coming up on Gabri now, lapped traffic. So Gravity's got himself another penalty. Light work still 8/10 behind. It's going to be wanting to capitalize on any slides or mistakes that Ginnett's going to make here. This Buck is pretty close on the back of Jonathan now currently, as he goes having a bit of lag there. It looks like we're back on wide. Not sure what that was. So you can see Optic going into the pits now. It's going to promote Jonathan up, as well as Buck, front runner as well. Imagine Fuse might be able to take advantage of that too. We'll see. As Optic has DNF'd now as well. So he might have just crashed coming into the pits there. It's unfortunate for him. He was looking very strong for all of this race. Looks like that setup issues he was having in qualifying transferred over into the race and didn't work out for him. That's now 2 DNFs out of 41 laps. A great effort from these guys, and all these 100% races are not easy to do. I've only done a few myself, but towards the end, at this point in the Grand Prix, you are having a little bit of a hard time seeing straight. This front runner is now just a little bit behind Buck, half a second. Buck is just 3/10 behind Jonathan. Getting ever so closer. Doesn't want to slam in the back of him. That would most definitely spell a penalty coming his way from the stewards. But he is extremely close on the back of him there, trying to grab that extra traction from a dry line as he tries to stick it up in there, but there's not enough grip on the track for the move like that to work. It's gonna have to try something else. I have to pass him on the straights, get a better drive off that. And how do you get into this league? You sub, I believe there's a link into our description here on the Twitch to get into the league. Find our Discord server there, and you can sign yourself up in the reserve category. Got full-time drivers getting promoted all the time, so it would not be hard to get a full-time drive. But yeah, I believe there's a link in the description. You see Buck get super close to Jonathan there. Not able to make a move yet. Jonathan just perfectly putting that car right where there's not enough room for him. Dutchman picks up another penalty. Scrumpy Catman is going to come into the pits now. We've got 10 laps remaining for these guys here. Buck is giving it everything he's got, burning off some of that ERS, trying to make a move here, but just runs out of room, not able to get alongside. Might be able to stitch something together here. Grumpy Old Catman is actually going to pit for the wets. Thinks that might give him an advantage. At least maybe even just to finish this race. Looks like it is getting progressively worse out on track. Slight work is just 7 seconds as Buck makes a move on Jonathan, but Jonathan sticks it to the outside. They're going wheel to wheel right now as they make contact, and both of their races is over. That is unfortunate. That is a big accident there. I imagine that's going to call out the safety car. So both of those drivers are out of this race. That is unfortunate. Jonathan and Buck were both putting in impressive drives. Buck recovering from P2 there. That is not how anybody wants to end their night. That is unfortunate. But Fuse Rogue now running 7th. See Slayer Eyes coming into the pits now. Like he wants to get a fresh set of tires, as we will have a safety car to neutralize this race here. Got 9 laps to go, so I imagine we won't have too much race time after the field gets bunched up, but we will see it probably a pretty tight battle up at the front for the win now. See if anyone's going to come into the pits. Nobody does. Lightwood looks like he wants to bait there. Nobody behind, close enough to bait. Slayer Eyes is in the pits for the wets as well. Guys in the pits as the field gets bunched back up. Jacko in the lead over Ginnett. He's on fresher intermediates by a lap, so not a huge difference there. Followed closely by Lightwork. And these three have been battling for a majority of this race. And I imagine that's going to continue all the way up until the checkered flag. Just curious to see who's going to come out on top. We are up to 4 DNFs after Jonathan and Buck made contact coming into a corner, which spelled the end of both of their races. Not sure who was at fault there. Wasn't on board to see, but I imagine there will be a big call from the stewards on that one there. You see Red Bull's only remaining driver in forward are currently running in P4. Looking like they're gonna have a good weekend over Haas to retake that spot in the constructors. They're just down by 2 points for third position. So as the field is slowly gonna start getting bunched up, these guys are gonna want to keep some tire temps in those tires now. They don't want to let them get too cold in the rain, and it's especially hard to warm them back up again. They're gonna want to let their ARS get as much as they can. Looks like Ginnet's rocking 100%, as well as Jacko up there too. Forward is going to come into the pits though. Looks like he might think that the wet tire is going to be the better tire. This Perfect Pond has seen himself down in P8 for most of this race. Has now got himself up into P4 at the moment. He was one of the first to pit for the intermediate compound. Lap 2 under safety car, so his field's going to need to get itself stretched together a little bit closer, I believe, before the safety car will release everybody. So probably Yoga and Darkside are still down a couple laps there. Field's starting to come back together. Looks like everyone's working on warming up their tires as well. So I imagine safety car might be coming in this lap. Haven't got any confirmation of that yet. Won't know until we're coming into sector 3 here. But these last 7 laps are going to be some interesting ones, that's for sure. So we've got all of everyone brought back together. Nobody able to maintain their advantages they got from any of the accidents anyone had earlier on in the race. As we've seen the lead change 3-4 times now. See if Jacko's able to hold on to it and get himself yet another win to continue his lead in the Drivers' Championship. Or if Forward, Light Work, maybe Ginnett could promote themselves up into P1 tonight. Would be very good for their championship. Forward is currently in P3 in the standings, if I remember correctly, as we're going around yet again. Field not bunched up enough. Probably. So we see Lightwork and Ginnett getting very close. Lightwork is ready to get racing again and get some heat into those tires. We're getting real close to the end here now. This rain has definitely made this race pretty interesting. Before the safety car, we had a little bit of a kerfuffle there for who's going to win after that, and now once again, safety car is going to be in this lap, so we're going to get going here. We'll just have 5 racing laps before the end of this race. Luckily, we won't be finishing under safety car like Monza. Pretty boring way to end the race, but yeah, it's a little boring, but I mean, you guys give me lots of great racing, and that was a very fun battles you were having there. Thanks, G. There's some serious wheeling you were doing there. I imagine you're the same optic for this racing. But yeah, I love it. Y'all make this fun. As we see Ginnett go into a bit of a spin there just before the start, that is not what we want to see, as EDA Perfect Pond is put into a position to grab a podium here. Man, Ginnett with that spin recovers and is in P4, as we've got a bit of turmoil towards the back. Chaco, yeah, he just hooked it up there. Baba Yaga is in the pits, as Chaco has just launched off the start and gotten himself a nice 2-second lead over Lightwork, who was looking to capitalize as best he could. Perfect Pond has seen himself with a surprise podium appearance here. He was down in P10 most of this race, so a very solid drive from him. Definitely gets my vote for definitely a contender for driver of the day, I'd say. Just stay consistent all race and has seen himself moved all the way up to a podium position. This Ginnett, though, is closing in on the back of him, see if he's going to be able to make anything happen here. There's 5 laps remaining. Forward down just a little bit behind. Grumpy Old Catman has got himself a 5-second penalty for ignoring blue flags. Grumpy Old Catman down in 11th position. God, Ginnett just slowly getting closer. Might think about a move down the inside. Thinks better of it. May not be the best place in the rain in these conditions. It's very hard to slow your car down and make turns. Got front runner just off the back of Fuse. Goes up on the curbs though a little bit. Fuse is looking to close down on forward. If he can get ahead of him here, I believe that would allow them to hold P3 in the standings here. And Perfect Pond is very consistent. As Ginnett though is right on the back of him now. See if he's able to make a move. Gets a little bit of a loss of traction there. It just allows Perfect Pond to hold that lead. Perfect Pond is going to be counting down these laps as quickly as he can. He's done a very great job though this race. There has been a little bit of everything here today as Ginnett starts to lose a little bit there in the rain. Looking like the wets might have been the better option, although I'm not seeing huge improvements on those who fit the wet tire. Maybe just gives him a little bit more traction, not necessarily faster. Unable to close in on perfect pond through here, as these tires are going to be nearing the end of their life. Getting it with a spin there, does well to stop, and luckily doesn't get tagged by anyone there. That could have been pretty nasty, as perfect pond has now got himself a 3-second buffer with a 2-second buffer to forward, who is in P4, followed quickly by Fuse, who has closed in massively. This is going to be a pretty interesting battle here. Lightwork only been able to close down 1.5, 1.4 on Majako in front. Jacko had a great safety car restart there, exactly what you'd want to see from him there. So got a bit of a yellow flag on the start-finish straight there, but everyone keeps on moving through. Forward gets closer and closer to the back of forward here. Not able to make anything happen yet. Let's see about this straight here, maybe coming down into this corner if he's able to pull out and start a lead over him. Get a bit of better traction, not looking like it down the straight. Ginnett's got himself a 3-second penalty. Saw himself leading for a majority of this race, now down to 7th position after a spin there. Unfortunate for him. Bill is just 0.8 off of Slayer, eyes ahead of him there. Looks like Williams is going to go a bit wide there. Wets might not be actually paying off for him like he would have expected them to here, as Bill gets ever so closely. It makes it look easy. Imagine he's going to get him on the straight. We'll see here as he cuts down to the right side, gets ahead. Is he able to stay ahead coming into this corner? Looks like it. Able to get a nice hold on him there. See, back up to the front. Lightwork has closed down to just a second now. Just 2 laps remaining. Looking like he's giving it everything he's got now in this final bit. Chaco is staying out ahead though for the moment. Looks like Lightwork's burning some ERS. Not able to close down too much here. Gets a little bit much on the curbs there, but it doesn't lose him any time. This is going to be a fight down to the wire. Slayer is back on the case of Bill down for fighting for P8, just 7/10 off of him there. Lightwork closing into just half a second now. Looks like he might be able to pull off a win here. Started from pole, saw himself drop, get a penalty, and has clawed his way back up. Even if he does pull out the lead though, I don't think he would be able to negate his time penalties of 6 seconds. Looking unlikely. This perfect pawn needs to get just about half a second ahead of forward to hold on to P3. See if he's able to do that. So not looking like it. So rain is definitely starting to come down though. This Fuse gets a little bit loose there, but regains control. Lightwork is now just 9/10 behind. Like Majako has a secure win here. Perfect Pond could steal P2 if he could close down that gap, but it's not looking like it. Meanwhile, Forward has closed down that gap to just outside of 2 seconds. So we see now as Fuse has gotten himself very close now onto the back. Bob with light work now. We just want to pass him on track just for the sake of saying I beat you. Even if you wouldn't be able to hold on to that result in the end, as Forward is now comfortably within the penalty window of Perfect Pond. It's a great race from Perfect Pond, though. I don't think he's put a single foot wrong all race, aside from when he got that 3-second time penalty. But capitalized a lot from everyone else's mistakes. As Ginnett, with 12 seconds worth of penalties, makes a move on front runner. So able to get ahead of him there. It's looking like the final lap now. See if these guys are able to hold on forward. He's done a beautiful job as being the only driver in a finishing position without any penalties. So great effort from him there. Sometimes keeping it clean will reward you in the end, as it looks like it will, as if everyone finishes as they stand now. I would say that Perfect Pond, Forward, Ginnett to Win It have all had great races tonight. Ginnett to Win It unfortunately having that spin after the safety car, right before the end of the safety car, sorry, to lose him out of the leading position there, but it's been a beautiful battle all across from all of these drivers. A lot of clean racing. Only a couple bits of contact there. Unfortunately, we had Jonathan Duncan Buck out due to contact with each other. They were fighting pretty heavily down there. I believe it was for 6th or 7th position. As light work closes in even more on Jacko here. Wonder if he's able to get this pass done. See, bottom runners, have they been able to capitalize, and some of our lower guys, Baba Yaga, I've been keeping my eye on him. He's able to finish in 14th here tonight. So far it's looking like just a few corners to go from the leaders. As you see, Jacko is going to be your race winner for tonight, followed closely by light work. Perfect Pond is going to round out in P3, but due to a penalty is finishing 4th, promoting Forward to getting a podium tonight for Red Bull. It's a great result from them. Be able to retake that lead in the second place in the third place in the championship standings over Haas. Finisher of P's Row was 5th place. Front runner bringing home 6th for AlphaTauri. Ginnett 7th for Mercedes. Bill down in a Ferrari. It's going to get you some P8 there. Slayer has P9. Catman in 10th. Dutchman in 11th. And DeGabry in 12th for Alfa Romeo. A Darksider and the other Aston. Teammate to Dutchman there, finishing 13th. And 14th is going to be your final finishing position of Baba Yaga, as he just crosses the line now for AlphaTauri. So great race all across the board. We're going to try to get some of these guys into the lobby here, or into the party here, so we can get a little for you there. Perfect Pond getting driver of the day, as he so rightfully deserves. Some of these guys into the party here, so get some interviews going. Hello.
What a race.
That was quite a race. Man, you guys gave me a lot to talk about, so thank you for that one.
Of course.
And congratulations on your podium as well. That was a very, very up and down race for a lot of you guys out there.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think I can speak for everyone. I mean, it was definitely a difficult race, the conditions, and switching over to inters and then probably the wets at the end there.
Yeah, that was a Did you think you were going to be able to grab yourself a podium when you started this race today?
Oh, no shot. I mean, Jacko, Bucks, and Optic were all super quick today.
They were all very pacey. And also, speaking of Optic, were you gonna let him pass at any point there when he was on the softs behind you, or were you just planning on racing that?
No, I wasn't. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know he's quick, so I had to defend my spot there.
Yeah, so. No, he was all over you there for a minute. It looked like he was trying to signal you to pass, but you stuck it to him there.
Hi guys.
Hey. Hello. What a race from you yet again.
I was just holding on.
That was up and down. What was your thoughts on that race? How did you think you fared there?
I think in these 100% races, the best approach, at least from my perspective, is to just run your own race. In fact, I don't know if you caught it, but I let a couple of guys pass as soon as they caught up to me on Hangar Straight.
Yeah, I did see you doing that.
Any incidents really? I just went hard left and let them go, and just waited to see what would happen with the rain, and try not to get any penalties. That seemed to work in the end.
Yeah, no,
I don't
definitely.
think it was really my race to win. There was like 3 people who were quicker.
Yeah,
in the dry.
I saw the lead change 4 times. Yeah.
The hard tire to get to the rain was kind of key, I think, for me at least.
Yeah, no, that was a great race from a lot of you guys. Ginnett was also up there. I saw him starch those hards well into the rain there. An unfortunate spin from him promoted the rest of y'all up. Looks like we had a couple more guys join the party here.
I don't know who else. Or we got light work and
perfect pond. Yeah. So light work. Tell me, how was the race from your perspective?
It was a fun one, honestly. It was my first 100% race on the game, and I mean, it was just so much fun. Qualifying was good. The race was so much fun at the beginning it was just by myself racing, but once I had to pit for the hards and then all these strategies came into play, it just made it so much more fun. Especially the rain made it very interesting.
I love how you're using fun while everyone else would probably use chaos.
Yeah, I'm using tired, exhausted, and ready for bed.
I mean, yeah, I'm tired just watching you guys do that.
I don't know how you do it. Full quality and 100% race.
Hey man, raise energy. Pick yourself up some.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. But perfect pond. That was a beautiful race. I was watching you throughout that race. You're kind of running just in the outside. It's barely in the top 10 there, and able to stick around to the podium, even though you finished 4th. How is it from your perspective?
Oh man, honestly, it was kind of just good to get back into it. Obviously, well, for the guys that don't know, I haven't been racing much lately, but yeah, it was kind of just a last-minute call from Wes, and just got into her, and yeah, it was pretty good. Consistency was a bit weak, but the pace was there. But yeah, man, just fun overall.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you had a wonderful race there. Forward, you got any questions you want to ask anybody?
I mean, first of all, applause. What a race. I mean, the racing was so much better than the previous races. I mean,
yes,
I know we only had 14 finishers. I was shooting for 15. I thought that would have been great, but most of the time, it was great racing, and I really do applaud you guys. It was great. Pace from the front was really good. But Jacko, you really kept it in touch there. How many warnings were you on at the end? Okay. How long did you have those?
I think I got one at about 1/3 and one about 2/3. So I guess I was going, at a constant rate.
Yeah, I was like the same way. I think me and you were the only. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure we were the only ones in the top 10.
I think Bordon didn't have one, but he DNF'd earlier.
Yeah, you guys were the only 2 finishers without penalties.
I was worried though when that safety car came out whether it would be correct to pit for wets. Did anyone else think that might be the case? Because Mark was
Yeah.
definitely suggesting that it was going to get wetter.
Yeah,
Well, so what I did, I was in a similar situation as you. I was on the hards, and I went all the way to the rain, and I wasn't sure under the safety car to pit for wets or stick with the inters, but looking back at it, it definitely should have been wets.
Yeah, I was noticing some of the wet drivers. There's a couple guys running wets a little bit farther down the field, and they didn't seem to be able to make a whole lot of progress with them, though.
Slayer was in the party chat with me, and he was on wets, and he said that they were starting to overheat a
Really?
lap or two after the safety car. So maybe they were quicker initially, but not
in
for
the long run.
a long period.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a great race there, especially Optic and Jonathan. They had a couple close battles. I think Lightwork and Jonathan were as well. Phil's in the chat saying the wets couldn't pass him on inners.
Yeah, I mean, I was following behind Optic for most of the race, well, parts of it, and he was really going for it. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, he was full beans. I don't think he was ever giving less than 100% at any point during that race. So that was a great performance from him. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to finish, but there's always a couple weeks from now. Got 3 rounds left, right?
Yep. So let's see what we got. 2 weeks.
Austria, I think.
Austria.
Yeah, we got Austria, then Brazil, then Abu Dhabi to end it off.
Nice. Yeah, that'll be a
Cool.
pretty sweet one. Yeah, Ferrari scored some more points tonight. I believe Red Bull's going to be back in front of Haas now as well. Just barely.
Yeah. Could you imagine Optic would have
Yeah,
been top 5? Oh,
that
yeah.
would have been a great performance for Red Bull team. Well, do you got any more questions for anybody?
That's about it, guys. Appreciate you coming out. It's a good race. I think this was by far the best one so far.
I agree.
Just in terms of the strategy and everyone's pace and the cleanliness of it all for the most part. So appreciate you guys, and hopefully we'll see you again in 2 weeks.
Thank you. Appreciate the comms again. Must be a serious time input.
Yeah. Let's give it up for Gava, man. What a
You
beast.
guys are
Yeah,
too
thank
kind.
Yeah, for real. My goodness.
Thank you for organizing all this. This has been a lot of fun for me.
Yeah,
I
agreed.
feel like we're all ready for bed, honestly.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm no offense to you guys, but I can't wait to stop talking.
It's 1 p.m. here in Australia, and I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, we need to find you a co-com to do this.
I was gonna ask in the broadcasters chat, but I realized I couldn't send messages. But yeah, thanks to everyone who tuned into the race. I think we still got like 2 or 3 viewers, so thanks for sticking it out. And we'll catch you guys here in the next couple weeks. I'm gonna shut the stream down real quick, but yeah, we'll be back in Austria, so we'll catch you guys then.